Hey Fernando, welcome to the GAC RMHC Golf Classic. Just want to give you an opportunity to view your swing here at regular speed. We'll let that play on through. We'll put you back in your dress position and we'll go ahead and take a look at a few things for you. So while we got you back here in your setup, let's first of all just take a look at your posture. We can see that tendency with your spine here is that we get a little bit rounded. Legs then come down into maybe a little bit too much of a bent position. Arms hang down off that spinal position, and then the club works out to the ball. So ideally what we would do here, if I were going to work on your golf game, we would revise your posture here by throwing your tail out and up, throwing your sternum out, up, and forward. And ultimately what that's going to do, it's going to just get your spine into a taller position and definitely straighter. By getting your tail out and up, it's going to straighten your legs a little. So your legs will just be unlocked. They won't be physically bent. Then the arms can hang down, and then the golf club can work out to the ball. So revising it from this sort of rounded position with your spine at address and a little bit sitting, get you a little taller and definitely get that spine in a straighter position would be what we would be looking for. Okay. At this point in time, we can go ahead and take a look at your alignment. We can see that your feet are aimed in this direction here. We carry that out towards the fairway, and theoretically your club face is supposed to run parallel to your feet, and parallel lines on camera would have an appearance of converging. So basically what we can see here is under that scenario, you're set up pretty much right down the center of the fairway, so it looks great. Let's go ahead and do a little split screen comparison here between you and Jordan Spieth. So before we go ahead and take a look at the swing, we can see that he's in a much taller position, spine straighter. So that's sort of what I was getting at. We've got some color-coded lines on the screen here just to use as a visual reference as it pertains to swing plane. We can see as Jordan Spieth initiates his takeaway, he creates good shoulder rotation, bringing the arms and hands back as well as the club. And we want to see the club coming back along the red line on plane. Through the early stages of the golf swing, we also want to incorporate some wrist hinge into play. So here we can see that he's going to transition the club head from being below his hands to now being above. And then from here we're going to work the club from red up towards the blue yellow V zone. When we finally set the club at the top of the backswing, we want to have the left arm of the club either situated on the yellow line, anywhere within the blue yellow V zone, or physically on blue like we see with Jordan Spieth. We also want to make sure that we've created full shoulder rotation, and we've done this about a very stable right leg, all the while on the axis of our posture that we achieved at address. As you go ahead and watch you initiate your takeaway here, we can see that you draw your hands back nicely, turning your shoulders. Club does have a tendency of moving a little bit outside of the swing plane, just means the hands and the club shaft and the club head have moved to the right of the red line. So don't hesitate to let your hands, arms, and club, when you draw the golf club back, to swing a little bit more inside ever so slightly. As we continue to draw this golf club back, we got to start to see some wrist hinge occur here. So still a little stiff wristed with the club through to this point. Right there we get a little bit of wrist hinge. We can still see the club head is way out in front of your hand, so you're going to have to lay this off. The club head's going to have to start dropping back in behind you, which we see there, and more so in the next frame, and even more so in the next frame. So the club's starting to recover and get back into a fairly decent position. When we finally set the club at the top of the backswing, pretty decent body location here. You have good shoulder rotation, stable right side. Your arms are in good position relative to your core, club's in good position relative to your arms, but certainly we could have made this a little bit more efficient with the hands moving a little bit more inside to begin with, and learn how to maximize our wrist hinge so we create a little bit more club head travel, which will also allow you to create more club head speed coming back into the ball. As we create our transition back in the ball, simply want to move our weight from our right foot to our left. We want to fire our knees and our hips to the target laterally, unwind our core and fire our hands. And doing so, we got to bring the golf club from wherever it was within that blue-yellow V zone back down on top of red. And that's exactly what we see here with Jordan Spieth. The golf club is returning back to being on plane. The other thing we want to observe at this stage of the golf swing is a relationship between the lead form and the golf club. Refer to this as the backwards check mark. Just simply means the club head right now is remaining above and behind his hands coming into the hitting zone. And this is going to allow us to create a lot of power in our golf swing, let alone the ability to hit the ball straight due to the fact, as I've already mentioned, the club returning back to playing. With you as you create your transition back into the ball, We can see here a little over the top move, hands travel down yellow out towards blue. It's going to have a major influence on the club, and the golf club is just not going to be able to return back to plane. So we can see the club here versus starting to move closer back to the red line. And as we track this club coming into the ball, we're just going to watch it continue to move further and further out in front of you. And as we go ahead and just sort of connect the dots, this will give you a really good sense as to the descending plane of the club and just how steep that golf club came into the ball. So there it is there, tracking into the golf shot. Okay, again with Jordan Spieth, we can see the club had returned back to the plane here, and then as he continues to come into the golf shot, very simply, the golf club is following this red line, which ultimately, again, allows us to hit the ball straight in accordance to our alignment. Lastly, assuming that the club face squares up via having a good grip. Okay. At this point in time, knowing that the descending planes are vastly different, we can take a look at the pass of the club, and we can see that Jordan's club is inside the ball before he strikes it. Club expands out to make contact and moves through on a nice natural subtle arc. Your club is stuck outside the ball, dropping down and across, so we can see the path at which that club moves on. If you happen to square the club face up to the swing path, obviously what would happen is we would pull the golf ball pretty aggressively to the left. If we over-release the club to the path, not only will we pull it, but we'd hit some form of a pull draw or pull hook. If we leave the club face a little bit open to the path, then we sort of block the ball a little bit more out on line. Ball has a little bit of left to right spin, and then you can get this nice little fading action that you're probably accustomed to seeing when you do hit a good golf shot. If you leave the club face too open to the path, ball starts even further right, incredibly, considering the fact that we're swinging way left. And in that scenario, the club face is wide open, imparting a ton of left to right spin on the ball, and you're going to hit this block slice. So the end result of the golf shot is dictated based on the timing of the club face. When the golf club is attacking the ball from outside, striking the ball and moving across. If we happen to square the club or release it, it follows red. Under release the club, it follows blue, and if we time it properly, it'll follow yellow. But at the end of the day, that does require a lot of timing on your part to be able to produce these nice little fades all the time. We can see through impact here that Jordan Spieth's right heel's off the ground. Your foot's still very flat-footed. With Jordan all the way through, we just want to notice this continued activity where his right heel comes up off the ground, gets up on the toe of his right foot, gets all his weight to his left side, allows his hips to square around, shoulders to fully rotate. His hands are high and the club's back in behind him, getting himself through to a really good finishing position. Let's see if you do anything with your footwork at all coming through. Yeah, so you eventually do, and you carry yourself through a pretty good finish. Obviously, you could finish a little bit higher with your hands, but nonetheless, at least you're getting through to a efficient finishing position for sure. Okay. Overall, some nice athleticism here. I mean, your hands work well. Your hands come back, they fire through. You got pretty decent turns, so you coil, you uncoil. You've got good footwork, allowing you to get through to a good finish. Your alignment's good. We do need to fix your posture, as I had originally stated. And at that point in time, when we draw the golf club back, don't be afraid to let your hands, arms, and golf club move more inside and around you to begin with. Complete the shoulder rotation. And then from here, the biggest thing is not coming into the ball from over the top, attacking the ball too steep, and therefore from outside to inside, and basically swinging to pull the ball left. And at that point in time, you've got to compensate with the club face in order to hit this nice little fade that will find the intended target. Club face over releases, again, it goes too far left. Under releases goes too far right. Okay? Anyway, any point in time you ever want to work on any of these aspects of your golf game, I'm located over at Glen Abbey in Oakville. Be happy to structure a program for you. Also, if you're involved with any golf tournaments at all and you guys are looking for a unique gift to provide your guests, touch base. I'd be happy to discuss my swing analysis services. Anyways, hope you had a fantastic day, and hope you enjoyed getting an opportunity to see your swing on video.